Well, I've been having a lot of fun in this room in the last number of hours. Thank you. Thank you. My talk today is called Flow, Flow, Flow Your Boat. Trust is not a dream. And I'm going to look at ways that trust has shown up in my life, stepping into trust, and how, actual real-life occurrences that have been great revelations for me. I noticed on the wall, I guess Reverend Tony heard it wrong over the phone. He wrote down, slow, slow, slow your boat. I guess that works too, but anyway. So, flow, flow, flow your boat. But I like opening with a joke, so I have a joke for you. You ready? Okay, so who's laughing over there? Who is that? Okay, so this is about two guys on a Sunday afternoon. And they've got some time to kill. They want to figure out something fun to do. And one of them has a little private plane, so they decide to go for a little flight over the ocean. And they've been out about an hour, and suddenly they're having engine trouble. They have to do an emergency landing. So they find a little uninhabited island. They get down safely, step out of their little plane. And they realize on the way down that the radio is also broken, so they can't even call for help. So they get out of the plane, they're standing there on the beach, and one guy is really nervous about the whole thing, and the other guy is just really calm. And the nervous guy says, "Oh my God, what are we going to do? We have no food, we have no water." And the other guy says, "Well, just relax, just trust. I'm sure it's all going to be fine. We don't need to worry." "What do you mean? The radio's broken, we can't call for help?" "Yeah, just relax, just trust. It's going to be fine." "Well, why do you think it's going to be so fine?" He says, "Well, listen, back home, my investments are doing really well. Who cares? We need food, we need water." "Well, no, I don't think you're getting what I'm saying here. I'm bringing in $10,000 a week, and I tithe 10% of that to my Unity Church. And I know my minister will find me." Trust. Well, I had a pretty amazing experience around trust happen for me in my travels and in my work. And, I fly to Italy a lot for my work. In fact, I'm leaving a week from today. I'm flying to Italy for the 58th time in my life. So, and I like to take people on tours there. Who would like to go on a tour to Italy with me? I got flyers out there. I'm doing one in April. I'm doing one in a week if you want to jump on board that, but April is probably more likely. But anyway, so I'm doing this event in Sicily several years ago, and it was like a 4-day intensive on this little private island off the coast of Sicily. And when it came time to settle up at the end, I was receiving my fee, and also I was submitting these miscellaneous expenses of $90. Only this time the organizer said, "Well, we've decided we're not paying it this time." And it didn't feel fair to me. "What do you mean? I thought you always pay this." And I was about to argue a little bit, but then I heard this voice in my head that just said, "Let it go. Just let it go. You're always covered. There's a bigger plan afoot. Don't worry about it. Just let it go, let it go, let it go." So I did. I didn't bring it up. I didn't say anything. Just went on my merry way. And, there's stepping into trust. There's a bigger plan afoot. You're always covered. So just let it go. So I get to the Palermo airport, short flight to Rome, have to change terminals, and get to the American Airlines counter. Now, another part of this story is that I fly so much with American Airlines that I've had a long history of them giving me these upgrades to business class at no charge, free to me to sit in the nice section to fly 9 hours back to the U.S. And I had one of these seats reserved, so I was kind of excited about that. So I'm in line in Rome at the terminal at the gate, and that's where I had to get that boarding pass printed at that time. And so I'm about sixth in line, and it's 45 minutes before takeoff, so I'm okay. Well, the problem is that this line is not moving, and it feels like chaos in the terminal. I'm not sure what's going on. 10 minutes passes, I'm still sixth in line, so I would like to get up and talk to the gate agent, and another 10 minutes passes, now I'm fifth. It's kind of taking forever. And finally, I get up to speak with the gate agent, and it's actually at the time of departure. And I say, okay, I'm ready to check in. And she says, well, I'm sorry, sir, but your business class seat is no longer available. I'm thinking, I was here in time. And again, the kind of, this not flowing. And she said, if you must have a business class seat, we can put you on a flight tomorrow maybe, or maybe the next day. I'm not going to wait around just for my cushy seat. But then she said, however, if you'd be willing to fly on this flight, we do have a seat for you and coach, and it's on an aisle seat. And if you'd be willing to take that seat, American Airlines would be willing to compensate you for your trouble with some flight vouchers for future flights on American Airlines in the amount of $3,000. So I kind of looked down and shuffled my feet, and I said, I guess that would be okay. I got on the flight. It was fine. I didn't need to be in business class. And had a great flight. And about an hour into the flight, it dawned on me what had happened. Earlier that day, I'd heard this voice. It said, just let it go. You're always covered. There's a bigger plan afoot. And I let go of $90. And a couple of hours later, I turned around to catch $3,000 coming in. And I wonder, if I had squeezed on that and not cooperated, would this other thing have happened? I don't know. But there's a bigger plan afoot, you're always covered. And I used those $3,000 in flights to do the work I came to do here, to be able to fly and sing at Unity churches and places. Because not everyone pays my airfare. I have to figure this out a lot. So what a gift, huh? To trust, to step into, there's a bigger plan afoot, and you're always covered. Just let it go. Just let it go. It's going to be fine. Charlie mentioned that part of my history is that I traveled with Alan Cohen for 7 years. We toured all over the U.S. and beyond, and he would be doing the speaking, I'd be doing the music. And I remember from the stage more than once, he talked about seeing our world a little bit differently. And what he invited the group to do, I'll invite you to do it, is to roll up your hand like this, so you're just looking through a little pinprick of a hole. Would you do that with me? And just kind of look around the room. What Alan said was, of all the things happening in life, this is about how much you can see. And then unfurl your fingers, and as everything is revealed, this is what God sees, right? And the little joke we keep playing on ourselves is we think that we should be able to control the universe based on this much information. Do you ever feel like you're the general manager of the universe? Like you're trying to organize everything, make it all go right? And do you realize you're doing it with only this much information? Are you ready to resign your role as general manager of the universe based on this much information? Are you? Can we let it go? Know there's a bigger plan afoot? Can we trust? Step into trust in situations. We can't see everything that's going on. We can't see all the pieces of the puzzle. There's a great quote in A Course in Miracles. It's really a one-liner. It's really quite powerful. It just simply says, trust would settle every problem now. Trust would settle every problem now. If you can step into trust, guess what? It's not a problem. Maybe the only reason it is a problem is because you're not trusting. You're not willing to realize you're working on this much information. How can you know? Trust would settle every problem now. Let's take a deep breath into that. Can we say those words together? Let's say that. Trust would settle every problem now. Maybe there's something that's hovering in your life right now that you need to apply a little more trust to. Can you step into that just a little bit? If I would just trust that I don't know the bigger picture, there's something bigger happening here. I can't see it all. Maybe I can just let go of trying to control it. Trust would settle every problem now. I wrote a song years ago. It's called In Time. And it kind of has a similar sentiment. The chorus says, in time, we see the working out. And we find that there's peace there. And maybe you've seen this happen, or think of some mess you were in like 5 years ago. And when you were in the middle of that mess, you didn't see, how's this going to work out? How's this going to play out? And over time, you realize, no, that had to happen because that led to this, and that led to this, and you start to see the bigger picture, how it can resolve itself in peace. So you've observed the principle happening. So what if you took that principle and applied it to whatever mess you're in today? And just know, it's finding its way. These things have to happen in some sort of sequence that you can't see. In time and time, we see the working out, and we find that there's peace there. One of the ways that trust shows up in my life, I'm kind of a one-man operation. I organize my recordings, my promotion, and my tour planning. And often for me what happens, I'll open up my laptop and go to this blank calendar 8 or 10 or 12 months in the future, and I'll just open and look at it, and I'll just start to ask, where am I supposed to be? There's an amount of trust in saying, well, to try and hear a voice to say, or some feeling or intuition, where am I supposed to be in May of 2020? And I'll listen, or I'll feel a pull, or remember something, and just start to mock up this tour on this kind of blank calendar. I'll just type it in with question marks, like maybe I'm supposed to be here, maybe here, and get a feel for the flow. And as I listen, and then I'll start to call up or email churches. And many times I get it's like a yes and a yes and a yes, like, wow, it just, that listening and trusting really led to a deeper knowing of where I'm supposed to be, where I'm being called. Other times I'll get no, like it's not flowing at all. And sometimes the flip side of trust is being willing to not know. Sometimes you step back and wait, it's not revealed yet. But that's okay, you've still got to put it out there to listen and see. But sometimes it's being willing to not know, and the trust that, okay, I don't know yet, and I'll just step back and listen some more. I first got started at the Unity Church in Houston. It's a big church where I first got up and knocked my knees together and sang anyway, when I was just beginning this, and totally freaked me out. It was 500 people, if you can imagine being a beginning singer in front of 500 people. And I made a friend there that we got involved in some of the different church projects. He was one of these people with a one name. He was a one-name person. His name was Springborn. Like Cher, Madonna, Springborn. And wonderful, amazing guy. He kind of a Renaissance man. He was into music and painting, art, brain research, architecture, all these different things. Just loving life. All different ways. Just wanted to develop all of him. And I remember once he said to me, he said, Charlie, you know what I love doing? I love putting myself out on the leading edge of my ignorance. Isn't that a great line? I like being out on the leading edge of my ignorance. And the ignorance is not stupidity, it's just what we don't know yet. Out on the border, out on the frontier of what's still to be discovered. And I love that. But that also takes trust, doesn't it? It takes courage to be out on the leading edge of where I haven't been yet. If we're always just doing what's safe and what's known, just kind of living here and what we've always done, where's the adventure in that? How do we get woken up in that if it's just the same old, same old? So I invite all of you, be on the leading edge of your ignorance into things you don't know yet, and that is a leap in faith and trust. Trust will settle every problem now. There's another great quote in A Course in Miracles, I do not have to worry about what to say or what to do, because he who sent me will direct me. If there's something that you're not feeling trusting, what if you just knew that if you would just show up, it would be given to you what to do? If there's some situation, maybe a friend needs help, or you don't know how to help someone who's going through a health crisis, or, it kind of scares me. Well, just show up anyway, and know it will be given to you what to do. Just trust you'll be told. I do not have to worry about what to say or what to do, because he who sent me will direct me. There's another quote I heard about worry. This is kind of the other side of the coin, attributed to Mark Twain. He said, I've proven that worrying works. Said, I've proven that worrying works because pretty much everything I ever worried about never happened. I want to share another quote with you. A naturopath told me this one, and it kind of there's a physical and a metaphysical side to this one. She said, and this quote actually changed my life. She said, "The body loves circulation. The body loves circulation." And that seems so obvious if you think about it, but what that quote got me doing was walking every day. It changed my life, and after that I dropped like 20 pounds just from getting out and moving, because I can be pretty sedentary if I'm left to my own devices, and when just to get out and walk an hour, sweat a little, move the juices, like what a change. It just changes, I think, our whole sense of being too, to get that kind of exercise. But what I noticed also is our relationships love circulation and communication, and sometimes that requires trust. I want to use a metaphor, and it's a little bit graphic. I hope you'll forgive me. But in the past, when I've had the flu or some sort of high fever, where you'll often find me is in the bathroom hugging the cold tile floor, just trying to cool off and kind of get over all that heat in my body. And often when I'm lying there, I'm noticing that my body would really like to vomit. It just wants to get this out of my system, just circulate that. I, however, do not want to vomit. Are you familiar with this little dichotomy, perhaps? I don't want to go through the experience. I don't want to smell it, taste it, go look at it, clean it up, anything. But if I would just let it move through, I'd feel so much better. Do you understand? It's like, it's crazy, but I resist. No, don't. Well, I think that could be a metaphor of how I've seen myself in a relationship, because I have a history of being a don't rock the boat relationship person. Like, if there's some issue going on, is there some way I can kind of sneak by it without having to talk about it? Is anyone familiar with this concept? Maybe if she'll just forget, if we just kind of don't discuss it for a few days, then we won't ever have to bring it up, right? But if we would just dive in and clear it, boom, instead of letting it hang out for days and days. The body loves circulation, our relationships love circulation, but it takes trust, doesn't it? And I think the crux is to say that our love is greater than any issue that might come up. Can I trust that our love is bigger than any issue that might come up? And that's some heavy-duty trust right there, isn't it? That can be scary. Trust would settle every problem now. I do not have to worry about what to say or what to do, because he who sent me will direct me. Can I step into those kind of conversations and trust? I want to start to close with something I heard a minister say a few years ago in California. And I was doing the music, he was speaking that day, and he did a little confession from the stage. I thought it was cute. He said, I have something to confess to you. I've actually been giving you the same talk every week. I've been trying to say it differently, but really, if you boil it down, I've just been saying three things. I've been saying, everything is God. This includes you. Act accordingly. Isn't that great? Everything is God. This includes you. Act accordingly. Can we say that as I statements? Everything is God. This includes me, and I act accordingly. Let's do that. Everything is God. This includes me, and I act accordingly. Let's do it again. Everything is God. This includes me, and I act accordingly. Can you step into that a little bit? As we do move more and more into that consciousness, I think we start to see trust a little differently. if everything is God, and this includes me, then I'm already living at that level where trust is almost irrelevant. If I'm living where my consciousness is more and more that just trusting everything that's happening, it's all revealed, then trust is irrelevant. It's unnecessary. If I'm already in the flow, if everything is God, and this includes me, trust is a natural state. You know, our need for trust just comes from our little minds that get caught in duality. And as we rise to everything is God, and this includes me, then we embody trust. We live from trust, from that connection with the all. And we can truly flow our boats, knowing trust is not a dream. Thank you. Thank you.
You have been watching the message from our Sunday celebration service here at Unity on Cape Cod, providing a positive path for spiritual living. Please join us every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. at 147 Walton Ave, Hyannis, Mass. And visit us online at www.unityoncapecod.org.